Hello and welcome to the What's On podcast, episode 3. I'm Zachary.
I'm Ryan.
And today we're going to be talking about some of the worst book adaptions out there, or book to film adaptions, I should say. So first of all, we're going to start on just stuff that's been interesting in the week, and then we'll move on to our main topic. So I know you've had a busy week this week, Ryan, so...
I have, indeed. Too much work there.
Not a lot of overtime, so... this is just stuff that I've seen throughout the week, Twitter, news and such like. So a big one from our first podcast was that Joker 2, the sequel to Joker, has been announced yesterday.
Yeah.
We said our thoughts on our idea of a Joker sequel, and we weren't overly positive, but we did think that they could have some sort of innovative...
Yeah, they could kind of maybe make it into a new story about him, but it's the case of I still think, unless they throw something out there, because obviously it's just been announced, they haven't shown any plot points or anything yet, have they? So you don't know what they're going to do. But from the way that the Joker first film finished, I felt like they'd done what they needed to do.
Yeah.
But, like I said in the first one, we'll just have to see. I mean, it's probably not going to come out for a few years anyway, so...
I think he could do an amazing job on the second one, and Joaquin and Todd Phillips have both said they're on board to do it. Obviously Joaquin would have to be in it to be sort of a good sequel. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. It'll probably be in a few years now, and we'll catch up near the time. If you want to hear any of our thoughts on Joker, just listen to our first podcast. Second one, have you seen anything on the Google Stadia, or Stadia? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Stadia.
Stadia, is
it? It's Stadia. No, nothing.
Well, it was released yesterday.
Oh.
And I've not seen any hype at all. Literally, because do you know what it is? It's a cloud-based gaming console, as it were. So you go into Google Chrome and you can get the Google Stadia and you're able to play games through it. But there's been no hype that I've seen, and the initial reviews have been bad, saying that you have to have mega fast internet to play, and even then it might not even be the best.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many Google consoles or whatever have you got to ever have? I mean, you've just had a few weeks ago PlayStation 5 announced.
Yeah.
So that'll take all of that away, and like you said, no hype at all. I've heard nothing.
Yeah. It's just because trending Twitters, it normally is it popped up, and it wasn't even to announce that it was being released. Obviously that came yesterday or last couple of days ago. It was about the bad reviews of it. That was the first thing that I saw about it. So I mean, since it's cloud based, they can obviously improve it as they go on, as opposed to a console. So I think they've always got the opportunity. Google's massive, so you never know. Also, the Game Awards for the Game of the Year were announced. Most of these I don't actually know, and I don't know if you'll know many of them. They're Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, the remastered version, Sekiro, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds. Heard of any of them?
I've heard of quite a few of them. I've not played any of them. The one from that I heard that I definitely want to play is Sekiro.
Yeah, Sekiro. That's
Sekiro. Yeah, because it's kind of like a Japanese style, Dark Souls kind of.
Yeah, it's from the same FromSoft.
Yeah, so that's one of the ones I definitely want to play. But
I've got it upstairs. I've been playing. I've not got distracted, but I've been going through, and it's really good. And it's a big deviation from, because I've played all the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne, so it's a big deviation, but still keeping that feel that FromSoft has been putting in the Soulsborne series. So
that they want to absolutely screw you over and make you die over.
Oh
and over
yes,
again.
So many times. But it was really enjoyable. You can borrow it after. Don't know if I'm not done with it. You can probably still borrow it because I'm not going to use it for a little bit. But I wanted to bring it up because it was interesting. But it's also which was the other ones that you'd heard of? Super Smash problem on.
Obviously, yeah. Was it Control you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of Control as well. It's kind of like a telekinesis type game.
Oh, okay.
And it looks really good. The reviews on it are amazing. The Outer Planets as well, I've kind of heard of, but not so much. Again, I'm not really sure how that works, but I've heard it.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. The ones I'd heard of was I hadn't heard of either Control or The Outer Worlds, but I knew about Death Stranding, which has come out recently. So recently that I'm surprised it's been included in this list. It's by Hideo Kojima, I think. But I'm really interested in checking it out because even after seeing the trailers, even after seeing some versions of it, I've still got no idea what it's about.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be this incredible, groundbreaking game. So I'm interested to check it out, but I've still got no idea what it's about.
Yeah, I've not looked into it. Look, I've seen the trailers like you, but what it's about I do not know. But it looks good. I mean, the actor, I can't remember his name.
I don't. He's the guy from Walking Dead.
He's in Walking Dead, yeah. But that looks amazing how that's made his face into it and everything. But I guess maybe they could have used the same technology that they used in LA Noire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With like the face capturing
images,
because LA Noire had the best like facial features for the time, because obviously they had him in like a booth doing all the speaking and everything.
I've not played LA Noire myself. I've seen clips of it. Isn't there like a mechanic where you try to tell if someone's lying by changes in facial expressions?
Yes, yeah. So obviously you're the police officer and you ask the questions in interviews, and then they'll give you their answer, and you've got to tell whether they're saying the truth. Or you've got the choices of either truth, doubt, or
press
that's where it's come from.
I know.
You know the meme. You know the meme now. Press X to doubt. But
there's another meme on it. They're like an old man who's like very over the top, like down the mouth.
Oh yeah,
I've seen it.
You can tell when they're lying because they're just moving about, they're squirming, their faces, their eyes are going everywhere. But it's a good mechanic.
Yeah. The only one I was a bit confused about was Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
I've seen a playthrough of it because a creator, a YouTuber or YouTube group called RKG, who started something at IGN. I followed them and they did a playthrough of it and I watched it because I'm never going to play it myself. And I thought it looked like an amazing game. The graphics have been done really well for an old game. But I find it a very confusing concept to award a game of the year to a game that's just been remastered.
Yeah. Well, you could say maybe that because it's been remastered, it's been brought out to new audiences. I mean, because when I don't know when Resident Evil 2 came out.
I don't know.
If it's been remastered, it must be a good few years.
Definitely. Over 15, I think it is.
So there'll be a lot of people that are playing games now that never did. So never got the chance to play Resident Evil 2. So if it's been brought out and people have played the newer Resident Evil games and this one's come out and they've taken it, then it's more people have taken onto it. I mean, like, I've got an example of that. It's Skyrim.
Yeah.
That was released in 2011 on 360 and PS3, and then it got remastered in 2015, I think it was. And then it's still selling millions of copies today. It's just people are coming back to it or whatever. So
yeah, I agree with that definitely. I just found it very confusing because it doesn't inspire originality. If like you just get an amazing game from old remaster and something wins new game of the year. I mean, it's not called new game of the year. It's called game of the year, which it may be. Yeah. But I just found it a confusing concept. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Another thing came up was, do you follow Rick and Morty? Seen it?
Again, I started it. I didn't get into it again, but I need to. I've got too many series.
Don't worry, it's not as if the fan base will absolutely attack you for not watching.
I know. Like I said, I've seen episodes, but I haven't fully gotten into it yet.
Yeah.
Yet. Keyword. Yet.
Yeah, I've got one of the most passionate audiences out there. Yeah. I've watched it all and I really like Rick and Morty. Find it super well done. It didn't come out last week, but the new season's come out over the last 2 weeks, so I've been catching up on that and it's still going well. I think they've done it to like season 6, confirmed it, so check that out if you've not heard it, because Rick and Morty's really good. It's a bit like a comedic version of like Back to the Future in animated form. I checked that out. Witcher 3, the season 2's already been announced.
It's not even out for another 3 weeks.
Yeah, so there must be confidence there.
That was quick. I saw last night as well, another TV show has been announced for its season 2 and it's not even been...
I think that's the point I was going to make. Was it Lord of the Rings?
It was.
Yes, it was.
Yes, that was the one. That's what I saw last night.
Yeah, that was another point I wrote down. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, which okay, just a little back. Lord of the Rings, Amazon are making a TV series of it set prior to like the Middle Earth that is shown in Lord of the Rings, like years and years or decades back. I don't know when exactly it is, but they're doing that. But they've not released next to no details that I could find.
Yeah.
Except that they've just said that they're going to do a season 2 already.
Yeah. And like you said, the same with the Witcher season 2 as well. It's not even out for another 3 weeks. So how do you know what it's going to be like?
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously must be confident. Does that give you a bit of confidence then that it's going to be good, or do you reckon they're just trying to cash in?
I think it's going to be good. I think we talked about this on episode 1, but I think it's going to be good. But I also think they already know it's going to be like a sellout. They already know it's going to hit it off and it's going to make the money to do a season 2.
Yeah.
Because it's got such a massive fan base. I think Witcher 3 was like the big one. It's in the top 10 of biggest selling games. I'm pretty sure.
Definitely for when it came out. Yeah.
So there's that massive fan base that they're going to obviously draw from for Netflix. So I don't think there's anything wrong with them like saying season 2 already. Yeah, I think that should be good. That's pretty much everything that I could find this week. There'll be other stuff, but let's just get straight into the main stuff. So we're going to start off with one called Percy Jackson, which is set in, or at least the first set of books is set in Greek mythology, to do with demigods who are children of gods, Greek gods and humans, and it's based on this character called Percy Jackson, who's the son of Poseidon. Spoiler alert.
One of the big 3.
Yes. So I think a lot of people have heard of Percy Jackson, so I don't think I need to go into too much more detail. But we're just going to be talking about, because we both read the books, we both watched the films, and we just found it to not be a good adaptation of the books. And I think a lot of people agree with us, and we're just going to go into detail. Is there any way you want to start?
I'd say the start of the first film, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, kind of goes with how the book starts. Obviously, Zeus and Poseidon talk about Zeus's lightning bolt being stolen, and Sean Bean, a pretty good cast for Zeus, one where he doesn't die, you know. Percy Jackson actually gets to the camp. That's where it kind of trails off a bit for me, because the camp is nowhere near what it was shown to be in the book. Like, it was meant to be a wide open. It was a wide open plain, if I remember right. Yeah. And there was a house. I can't remember what the house was called.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember what the house was called. But none of that was in the film. It was just literally in the film. He wakes up in the infirmary, and then he goes out, and there's all these people training in what looks like in woodland, just on these little obstacle courses and everything. Yeah. It doesn't go into great detail about the camp. It just welcome to Camp Half-Blood.
Yeah.
Whereas in the book, obviously, he was given a massive tour. He went to whatever this house was called. I'm sure we'll find out in a minute. Where he met the god. I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Dionysus,
the god of wine.
Yep.
Not in the film at all.
He is.
Oh, is it in the second one? He is, isn't it? He's not in the first one.
No, he is.
Is he?
I'm pretty sure. I don't think he's in it a lot. I think he
might be at the end.
He has a scene that I know when they're training on an obstacle where they're climbing. I may be wrong because I might be forgetting this right, but where he pours wine into a glass and it turns to water. I'm pretty sure it's in the first film. But
that's the second one. We're on at the start of the film when they're going up like an obstacle type thing where they're fighting each other.
Is that number 2?
That's number 2.
Fair enough.
That's where I was going to come into with.
Go on then. Keep going.
In the first one, he's not in the first one at all.
Right.
And another one that I didn't like, the part of the camp, was that in the book.
Sorry to say, but Dionysus in the book was one of my favourite characters.
Yeah, he's got pretty funny.
He's got such a dry sense of humour.
Dry for the god of wine, you know.
Oh yeah, works on it.
But each god or goddess had their own cabin.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's 13 Olympic gods. 12.
12 main gods.
12 main gods, and then you've got the minor ones, but it's the main ones that are obviously there.
Yeah.
But they're just not in the book, in the film, sorry, at all. I mean, literally, you get Percy Jackson taken over to like the lake where there's like this little like tarpaulin over a bed and everything, and it's like there's a trident there, and like, oh, I'm the son of Poseidon, am I? Instead of like this massive cabin that he got, and there was no. Oh, that's just reminded me, of how he actually found out he was the son of Poseidon in the book, because they get claimed don't they? And it pops up above the head there in Cinia.
Doesn't it happen after he's attacked by like a hellhound?
Yes.
Something like that.
That attacks the camp.
Yeah.
And then he gets claimed.
Because he gets injured, doesn't he? He goes into the water and it heals him.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets claimed by Poseidon.
Yeah. But that never happens.
Gets brushed over. I'd say I definitely agree with the differences in camp. I will give them some leeway just because, obviously, book descriptions, it's our imaginations, and when we see things visually in a film, we go, that's not how I imagine it. So I'll give them some leeway as well as financial restrictions, potentially, if they wanted to go, okay, we're just going to do a basic camp and then we're going to do fancy other stuff.
Yeah.
But they definitely could have done a better job. Of the camp, definitely, and as well the claiming. I think
the claiming they could have definitely added.
Well, they got rid of it, didn't they? They just said
completely.
You're from here.
Yeah.
So
your dad's Poseidon.
Yeah. Nice one. One thing that bugged me was the age. Like he's meant to be 12.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, some leeway because in terms of acting, like they might have wanted older actors so that they could do more physical stuff, or they could have some sort of like romantic thing between, like, obviously Annabeth. I think it happens in the book, but obviously
later on
portraying it in a film is obviously easier and they can relate it to audiences. The issue where it is it's a big plot point in the books, how old he is, because a prophecy throughout the books revolves around Percy turning 16 and stuff kicking off. So that was the thing that bugged me, the age, because I think he's 16 in the films.
I think he's already 16,
which just puts everything in a mess.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that bugged me with it, because from the start it's like going, okay, we're going to have to come up with some convoluted way to bring it back to the books if we ever want to do a sequel, but they didn't decide that.
They just went
sod that.
It's stuff like that when it's major plot points that really hurt a film, especially because if you're doing a book to film, you're going to want to try and get the book people on it as much as possible, the book readers on it as much as possible, because they're the ones that are going to have loved it so much, whereas you've got people that have never read the books coming to it, and they'll take it on because they won't know any better, but when you've got a large amount of your audience is book readers, they're going to rip you apart.
Definitely. Here we are.
And here we go.
I've got a couple of things to talk about near to the end of the film, but is there any middle parts or anything else you wanted to talk about?
The middle parts, generally from what I can remember, actually kind of follow it.
Yeah.
Quite well.
Like Medusa and the casino.
And the casino, the Lotus Casino. That goes quite well. It's when they actually get to going into the underworld, or close to the underworld, that's where it starts to fall apart.
As a positive for the film, I did like Grover's actor.
Yeah.
I think he did a really good job.
He did a really good job, yeah. I agree with that one. Weren't they attacked in a water park at one point?
Yes, but I can't remember if it was in the film.
It wasn't in the film, because all they did was, once they left the Lotus Casino in Vegas, when they went to the underworld, it was the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
It was straight there. So I can't really remember much about the water park and how that went about, but they missed that out. But again, I guess that could be brushed over a little bit. It's not a major thing.
Here's a funny thing I've just found that might be common for people listening now. But we've obviously both, like I said, we both read the books.
Yeah.
We've watched the films. Just then remembering, I was remembering, an imaginary description of what happened in the water park, not knowing whether that was just me remembering how I imagined it, or if it was actually the film. And I imagine that's similar to you, with stuff you're not sure if it's in the film, but you can visualise what it was.
Oh god, yeah.
So
which is straight. I've got good imagination when it comes to books.
Oh yeah, well practiced.
Yeah, but
I just thought that was an interesting point that I think a lot of people who read and watch a lot probably have experienced.
So yeah, when they got into the underworld, the underworld is not what it should be.
No, they get rid of. Do they get rid of the sticks? They obviously show it, but it doesn't have the same.
The sticks, is it?
River sticks.
Yeah, the river. Yeah, they completely got rid of that. They just literally had him floating through air, over fire, which in the underworld there really isn't that much of.
They're just like ghosts, aren't they? That just wander about in the books.
And he says all life ends in suffering. It's like, well, no,
Elysium,
because that's not how it works. You've got Elysium where obviously like the heroes everyone lives, and then you've got the field of
damnation.
It's not well. You've got the field of damnation, but you've also got the other field where it's just literally like a meaningless existence.
Right.
Where you've not done actually anything extraordinary in your life.
I thought that was the field of damnation, wasn't it?
No, because the field of damnation is where they're suffering because they've done something bad. There's another field where it's literally next to Elysium, so they can see it, and it's literally they're just stood in this field doing nothing.
Well, they've done nothing with their life.
They've done nothing extraordinary with their life, and they've done nothing like bad.
Yeah.
So those people in that field have got the chance to reincarnate twice more.
Yes.
So that they can try and get into Elysium.
Oh, here we go. The Fields of Asphodel?
Asphodel, that's the one.
Apologies for Greek study. Like,
it's not Elysium, is it?
No, I mean the pronunciation of that. I don't know if that's correct. Excuse me. If that's correct pronunciation, but that's what they are.
That was never in the film. Cerberus was never in the film.
That's a shame.
Yeah, Cerberus was never in the film, which was obviously it's a main part of the underworld, the three-headed gate guarder.
What was the name of Nico's dog in the later books? The Hellhound. Mrs. something.
Oh no, you've done that to me now. I don't know. I don't know.
Because she became like friends with Cerberus, and that was like a thing that kept picking up over the next book and series, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember that one. But
I'll Google it in a minute, but
but I don't remember that part. So that was all left out of the underworld. Literally, all they did was go over in the boat and then turn up at Hades' door. It's like, oh great!
Can we have the lightning bolt back, please? Yeah. So what I wanted to bring up was first I'll go into one of the biggest things that bugged me was the lack of Ares.
Yes.
His character in the Ares is never in the film. He's never in the first film. And for those who've only seen the first film and not read the book, Ares is the main villain of the first book.
The god of war.
Yeah. And he's a great character. He's comedic, he's obviously brutal, and at the end of it he goes along with what he is god of. Yeah. He's done this to try and create some sort of conflict.
Yes.
There is obviously the undertone of Kronos in it, but he's mainly done it just to start kicking things off.
Yeah, it was him behind it all along.
Yeah, of nicking the lightning bolt and planting it on Percy Jackson, and he's just taken out of it. I don't know.
Well, they replaced him with Hermes' son, which was Luke.
Well, Luke was always bad.
He was bad, yeah.
Because film-wise, Luke's the main villain, and he's done it. I've wrote it down. He's done it so he could nick it to destroy Olympus and have demigods as rulers.
Yeah.
Something rubbish like that.
Yeah.
But in the books, he's doing this for Kronos, who he's working with to bring Kronos back to life, who's currently scattered in a million pieces. You only find out, because Ares is the main villain of the first book, after Percy and Annabeth and everyone's dealt with Ares, afterwards as the epilogue of it all, Luke poisons or he sets a snake on Percy, and then that's how it's revealed that he's the traitor of the camp.
Yep.
And that leads into obviously the second and continuation of the series.
Yeah, because if I remember now, because the Hellhound that got into the camp obviously shouldn't have been able to get in. Yeah. Because there's a magical
barrier
that stops anything like that getting in, but Luke actually let it in. That's how that works. Yeah.
And because that's the one that's from Thayer's.
Yes.
Is the name
Thyra?
I don't know.
I think it's spelled Thrya, so it's Thyra.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just Luke is the main villain. It just didn't come out of nowhere. Because I know going over and over, trying to go to different things there, but the gods are very massively powered down in the film.
Oh yeah.
And in the books, it's just snap of fingers, anything happens. Like Dionysus, who we just brought up, who is a great comedic character in the film, he's also portrayed as, if you miff him off, he's going to turn you into a tree.
Yeah. Or
something like that. And so Luke's as the villain doesn't really have any meaning to us when we've read the books, when he's like, I've nicked this ball and now I'm going to destroy Olympus. Yeah. When you know any of the gods could click the fingers.
And that's it, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a demigod at the end of the day. He's not got that much powers. And the son of Hermes. I mean, what can you do with that, really?
Oh, you harsh bugger! Isn't that the whole thing of the last 5th book? It's just like, I'm only a god of Hermes, and you're being like,
yeah, oh,
you're being like, as the all said, you're proving him right.
It's true though. Come on.
Like literally the 5th. Sorry for those who haven't read, but it's ages ago. The 5th book ends with Percy saying, every god, no matter how senior, like all the minor gods, should have a place at Camp Half-Blood.
Yeah.
And you're just making his point. Just going, oh, look at Hermes. Like,
oh well, poor Hermes.
You were epitome of everything that was wrong with the world.
Yep. The epitome that all that I despise on me.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't like lack of Ares. Luke is the main villain. Just complete reversal from the books, and not in a good way.
The second book at the start, they kind of made the camp a bit better, and like you said, they brought I can't pronounce his name. The god.
Which one?
Wine.
Dionysus.
Dionysus, that's the one. Yeah. Keep forgetting it. Come on. But they kind of obviously made that an improvement, but it still didn't save it.
Yeah,
really.
I found the second one the worst film, but the one that mainly stuck to the story.
Yeah.
Until the end, in which it just went, here's it gone, and there it goes out the window.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen it, they bring Kronos to life, which doesn't happen until the fourth film.
I think it's the fourth.
Fourth book, sorry. Yeah, because he finds him in the labyrinth, he comes alive, and then gets chased out. Yeah. And Kronos is just, he's an intelligent titan who's manipulated everyone to come back alive. And in the second film, he's just this big magma monster, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. It just messes with it and powers it.
And there's nowhere they could have gotten from that. There's no way a third, fourth, fifth film, because they've already screwed the continuity enough, that they would have had to come up with some convoluted back alley way to bring it thing.
I mean, I think obviously the filmmakers agreed, because there hasn't been a third film yet, have there? So,
is there anything else you want, like, because I've got a good thing to finish it off on, but is there anything else that you had written down or anything?
Nothing from the Percy ones, no.
But, so all I wanted to finish was Rick Riordan, who is the author, and also, so just to give, because I've read a few of his things, if you've not heard of Rick Riordan, I know you might have watched the films, but he's written the Percy Jackson series, which is Greek mythology, and then it goes into Roman mythology, and he's also written separate series on Egyptian, and pretty sure he's also started a Norse one as well.
Yes. So
if you're interested in mythology, then I would really recommend going and checking his stuff out, because he does put more detail, and it's a good way to understand the mythologies, even if I know it's based at young adult and such like, but it's just a really good, interesting series. As I was saying, he sent an open letter to schools around the country saying, and I quote, "No class deserves such a punishment. Please," and then I'm ad-libbing a bit here, but essentially he said, "Please, to the love of God, don't waste your school time watching these films." Yeah. Like he had no creative input to the films. They did it themselves. I can't remember the studio at the moment, but he's not a fan. Like he's disparaged it and tried to separate as much as he can away from it. Not a fan. And the last thing that I read up on him was that he's open to have it rebooted, but I believe the rights are still with I think it's 20th Century Fox, but I could be mistaken there. But it's just funny seeing his reaction to the films. Not surprising though. But he wants it rebooted, and he thinks that Disney, like if Disney got hold of it, he thinks they could do a good job, from what I last read. But yeah, that's pretty much everything on good old Percy Jackson. Like I say, check out the series he's written. They're really good books, and I really enjoyed them.
There's a lot to get through, so you'll have your hands full, which is always good.
So what we're going to go into now is we've both come up with bad adaptions that we've both watched and read, but the other one hasn't, just to bring a bit of variety. So, well, I'm gonna go first and talk about the Golden Compass, or what's actually known as the Northern Lights. It's a book series. The book series is called The Dark Materials, and it's written by Philip Pullman. The movie, you might have heard of it now because there's a BBC TV series come out of it that's apparently good, but I'm waiting until it's all come out to watch it all, because I prefer to just binge watch it through it.
Yep.
But in around 2005, I think it was, the film was released called The Golden Compass. The book's called Northern Lights, but they thought Golden Compass would obviously appeal to as a better title. So the story is, it's a like dystopian world where people's souls are portrayed as animals called demons. So if, my soul might have been a ferret, that just stays with me and has to stay within a certain area of me.
Okay.
And that's the world, and there's zeppelins and stuff like that. And the world's mainly run by what's called the Magisterium.
Okay.
Which Philip Pullman represented as like the Catholic Church. Because he was an atheist, and he was an outgoing atheist, and wrote these with quite a big message of against like organized religion and the power of the church, and chose to represent that by specifically the Catholic Church, and represented that as the Magisterium.
Okay.
So this was a place where they had free reign and could control things, and that led to. So I will say, because the TV series is out now, and that might be people's first interaction with the series. So if you don't want to listen and get potentially spoiled by what I say, skip to Ryan's Inferno or Eragon, which we'll be coming on to later. But they go into stuff like separating the souls. So the way they put it is, between you and your demon, your soul animal, they can cut that link between the two and separate the soul away, and afterwards the person becomes a zombie because they no longer have their demon, they no longer have their soul. And a big plot point throughout the 3 films is there's a character called Lord Ezreal, who is, again, spoilers, is Lyra, who's the main character, Lyra's father, and his mission really is to try and find God by going through parallel worlds and kill him. That's what his goal is throughout the films. So that's like the book's version. When the film came round, understandably, they're not going to put a film on that goes at the Catholic Church with messages of trying to kill God. I understand that, but they watered it down. The issue they watered it down so much that they just annoyed everyone. They annoyed the book readers because we'd read them and we knew what it was about. Because like they watered it down to like focus on like it could be any religion. So that annoyed the readers who knew what they'd done. The Catholic Church was annoyed anyway because it was still a message against religion, but obviously they had to water it down. They had to spread the message. They couldn't target it. And I read, I've got a quote saying that when they considered that if they even mentioned or like targeted or even inferred towards the Catholic Church, which readers already knew, but if they did that, they would make it financially unviable in the US. Like they said, they said couldn't do it. They would.
So it was more of a corporate thing than a story thing.
So I understand that, but it's that it didn't make the film that it should have been. And I understand why, but
it's still annoying.
It's still annoying, and there were many things that were good about it. Like there were the CGI effects. I'm pretty sure it won the Academy Award for special effects. Like there's talking polar bears in it. They were done really well. And all the demons, like you believed that they were they were a part of someone. There was so much going for the film, and the casting I thought was excellent. Like Daniel Craig was this Lord Asriel, and I thought he did a great job of that. Nicole Kidman portrayed Mrs. Coulter, who is like the villain of the film, sort of, and she did such a good job of it. Philip Pullman, after watching the film, said, because she's got blonde hair, but in the book she's portrayed as having, she's described as having black hair. He said after the film, I was wrong when I wrote it. Mrs. Coulter should have had blonde hair because she did such a good role of it. So I thought I was really interested. And another character who's an aeronaut in it called Lee Scoresby was portrayed by Sam Elliott, who you might know from A Star Is Born. He's like an old Texan guy, or if you've seen Ghost Rider. Have you seen Ghost Rider?
I haven't seen Ghost Rider, no.
I think you'd recognise him if you saw him.
I've heard the name. I've definitely heard the name. But
I think he was like the perfect character for it. So there was many really good things of the film. It's just that watered down. It wasn't what the book was, and the end of the book. I don't know. The end of the film wasn't the same as the end of the book because I'm not going to go into this particular spoiler because obviously the TV series and this is quite a major one. But the end of the book, it's a very tragic ending to then continue on into the second and third book because it's a trilogy. But the film portrayed it as a happy ending, but still wanted it to be a continuation so that they could go into a second and third film.
Okay.
Which, again,
it hurts it, doesn't it?
It's that understanding, but it's not what the book was. That could just me being a big book fanboy and obviously not knowing, but I think a lot of people do agree with my point of view because this is one of the ones that has a big bad book adaptation reputation. That's pretty much all I wanted to say on that one. Yeah. Just my interesting one. I think you should check it out. Like,
I think from what you've said, it sounds quite interesting. I think I do need to definitely read it. Probably not watch the film until afterwards.
Yeah. I'd recommend watching the film because then you'll know what I'm talking about. Books better, and like I say, I'm going to check out the TV series once all the episodes have been released because I've heard good things. Like, I think James McAvoy is playing Lord Asriel, who's a really good actor, and Miss Coulter, who's the villain of the piece, is being portrayed by Ruth Wilson. Okay. I think her name is. So have you seen Luther?
Yes.
Psychopathic love interest to Luther. What's she called?
Oh,
redhead.
As in his demon.
What? Luther. In Luther.
Yeah.
The psychopathic, like in the first episode, her who kills her own parents.
Oh, yeah.
That's the actress.
Right.
And I really liked her in Luther, so I think she's...
I got mixed up then. I thought you said Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Lucifer, not Luther. Got it wrong. My bad. Yeah.
Have you seen Luther?
I have seen a little bit of Luther.
Can you remember what...
I can, yeah.
Do you know what her name is?
I can't.
Oh,
I don't remember. Luther and Lucifer, little... Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple of spelling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so casting's good. It's BBC. They normally do a good job of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Right. Mine is called Inferno. It's a book written by Dan Brown, who also it's the same series of books. So it was Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code, Lost Symbol, and Inferno at the moment. Mm-hmm. Oh, and the new one that's came out last year, which I've read as well, but I can't remember what it's called.
So I've got these upstairs. Yeah. I've just not got round to reading them.
Do you remember what that last one's called? Because that's annoyed me now.
I don't. I can search it up. I'll search it up while you're talking.
Yeah. So basically, this entire series is about a professor of religious symbology. If that's how you even say that, called Robert Langdon. Right. And Inferno is the fourth book. It's the third film made.
Okay.
They completely skipped over the Lost Symbol, but it's different stories in each one.
So are they like sequels in the sense that these take stuff from the previous films, or they're like standalone stories?
They're kind of standalone stories, but like in some of the films, they kind of reference the other ones.
Right. Okay.
So, like, say the Da Vinci Code is the second one.
Yeah.
And they reference
stuff that's happened
in Angels and Demons, because Angels and Demons is about the Catholic Church and the
I've seen the film
Illuminati. Yeah. But in Inferno, it's about a geneticist called Bertrand Zobrist, who thought that overpopulation was a major issue with the world, which it is.
There's a recent purple alien that should get on with.
Yeah. And he went to the World Health Organization saying that we need to sort this out. And he said that he had an idea, like a virus, that could sort out the issue.
Yeah.
And he didn't go into too much detail with the World Health Organization, but they branded him as a terrorist and a monster. But Zobrist had a massive following with people who thought that overpopulation is a bad thing, which it is generally, and that they wanted his plan to go ahead, and his plan was Inferno. Yeah. So it was to spread a virus to everyone in the world, and they believed that it would kill 1/3 of the entire population, just like that.
So not as bad as Thanos.
Not as bad as Thanos, just a third. Just a third. But Zobrist knew that he would get caught because he was on the run for about 2 years. And he eventually did get caught and committed suicide by jumping off a tower in Florence.
So is this the story of Inferno? Is this like the precursor?
This is the story of Inferno at the start.
Right. Okay.
Generally, I liked the film until the last 20 minutes. Because basically what Zobrist did was that he knew he was going to get caught, so he left a trail. He was a big fan of Dante.
Okay.
And Dante also painted and wrote... He didn't paint. He wrote Inferno, which was the 9 different levels of hell.
Yep.
And so what Zobrist did was he left like a trail in Dante's Inferno, leaving clues and everything for his followers to try and find where he'd left this virus, where he wanted to spread it. He also left a message to say when it would get spread. So
sorry, I might have just missed that, but how come he had second thoughts? Like, how come he left these messages?
No, it was just in case he got caught.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
It was just in case he got caught, so that if he died, so that
someone
his followers could carry
it
on.
Yeah.
But he made the virus, and if I remember right, Robert Landon's in it because he one day wakes up with amnesia.
Okay.
And someone tells him that he's been shot.
Yeah.
It grazed his head, but he's got amnesia from it. And the doctor that sorts him out in the hospital is called Sienna Brooks, who's played in the film by Felicity Jones.
Yeah.
And obviously Robert Landon's played by Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Brilliant casting, the pair of them, obviously. I mean, Tom Hanks has done brilliant with the Dan Brown books and the films. But then he try and speak. This group try and assassinate him for some reason because he has actually got the first clue. You can't remember how he got it or anything, but it's like a pen, which shows Zobrist the Inferno. So basically, it's just carrying on like him and Sienna Brooks going around Italy trying to find these clues to try and find Inferno.
So what's the bad? Why is it a bad adaptation?
The bad, like I said, the film is good until the last 20 minutes, where it completely changes the ending of the book. So the ending of the book is that they find...
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers, sorry guys. Is that they find where it is, the actual bag which held the virus.
Yep.
And that was in the cistern of Istanbul.
Okay.
They find that it was meant to be getting... I can't remember the date that it was meant to be getting released. But they're there on that date, just before midnight, and they try and find it. But they find out just before it that Sienna Brooks was actually Zobrist's lover.
Okay.
So she was trying to find it to actually make it happen. Whereas
and she's been the companion of
Robert Langdon, who's been trying to stop it.
Is this book or is this film?
This is both.
Oh, okay, carry on.
But both in the book and film, she leaves him because they're still getting chased.
Yeah.
She kind of traps him in Venice.
Yeah.
And then turns to him and says, like, you called Zobrist a murderer and everything. And then he realises that what she is, and then shows that she's the lover. Yeah. So she leaves to go to Istanbul, and so he eventually gets with the World Health Organization, who both they try and get there.
Yeah.
Sienna's working with other Zobrist fans.
Yeah.
To try and to get it to happen. They get to Istanbul, to the place where it's meant to be being released. In the book, what happened was they get there and they find that the bag's not there. They find just a little bit of plastic flapping away, and they've realised that because the plastic that it was made of was biodegradable really quick, and they found that it actually burst a week before. Okay. But it was today they found that it was actually spread worldwide, because the World Health Organization doctor in America tested his own blood and found that he had the virus, even though it was done in Istanbul. Yeah. So they found out that everyone had this virus, but it wasn't killing a third of the people. It actually made a third of the people infertile, randomly.
So it still did the job that he wanted.
It still did the job that he wanted to do, Zobrist wanted to do, but it just made a third of people infertile. It didn't kill anyone, and it continues through generations.
Well, there is going to be no generations.
No, but as in so the people that... Everyone's got the virus, but not everyone's infertile.
Oh, so like a percentage of the people who are born would then be infertile.
But they'll be infertile, but other people won't be.
And the film version?
And the film version was
everyone's dead.
No, the bag of the virus is there. They managed to contain it.
Sounds interesting.
The virus doesn't get spread. Happy days. It's a hero's ending.
Yeah.
And it goes. See, what the book did was it made people think, hang on a minute, overpopulation is an issue. Would this be a good way of being able to stop it?
Yeah.
And Sienna Brooks actually gets caught in the film.
Yeah.
But then she works with the World Health Organization. She's taken with them to see, because they think at the end, like, we've got a massive issue ahead of us. Do we keep this, or do we try and stop it?
Yeah.
Do we try and cure it? Whereas in the books, in the film, what she did was she died.
Okay.
Yeah, she tried to blow up the bag by putting bombs in the water, but they blocked the signal to her phone.
Yeah.
So she jumped into the water and set off one of the bombs, killing herself.
Yeah.
But they managed to put the bag of the virus in this like sealable box, so it didn't split.
Okay.
So at the end of it, it was all a happy ending, and they put in this really weird subplot of Robert Langdon and the World Health Organization director knowing each other and having like a romance type thing, where there was no need for it at all.
How long's the film?
The film's about an hour and a half, hour and 40.
Okay.
It, like I said, it does everything that the book did until the end, and that's where it falls flat. Because now you've just washed over a really major problem with the modern world, and this book made people talk about it.
Do you reckon this is like similar to like I was talking about the Golden Compass?
Like you said, they've made the end. They've watered it down
because they think it's gonna myth some people off. It's gonna, if you target it towards a certain group, and this, although it's not targeting anyone, it's bringing up an uncomfortable
scenario and topic.
Yeah,
that they must have thought like, oh, we can't do that
because people are going to scream like.
We must have to,
do a dramatic
hero ending. Oh, look at that, we've saved the day. Robert Langdon saves the day again.
Yeah,
and that's just what miffed me off.
Yeah,
and it did a lot of the book fans as well. Every book fan that has watched that film does not like it because of that ending. It would have been, and I understand if it would have hurt them if they'd have done this. But it's still a problem today, overpopulation, and it would have got people. It might have gotten people talking.
Yeah.
So that was what I felt about Inferno. If you've not seen it, I'd recommend reading the book first and then watching it, because you'll realise what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the message of I think if there was like a caption to this podcast, it would be read the book first.
Read the book first, like it, and then go on towards the film to realise what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I don't think so. It sort of sounds like you enjoyed the film, but then you
messed me over.
You rage quit like at the end.
I did enjoy the film. The film was good.
Yeah.
It changed a few little subtle things that I won't say.
It's the same thing for me in the Compass. It's like I enjoyed the film, but it's just like it wasn't the book.
It's the end. The ending just ruined it and just put me off it completely. So, shall we?
Now, this is the one we have been looking forward to most, because
the elephant in the room, the go-to guide on
now literally
to adapt your film.
If you type in Google or Bing, if you so choose, if you type in bad book to film adaptions,
if not the worst,
almost to guarantee this is going to be the top result.
Oh god, yeah.
And that is
Eragon
2006. So for those who don't know, Eragon was a book written in 1997, I believe.
I thought it was 2002.
Yeah, it was 2002, sorry.
Yeah, 2002.
I'm thinking of Harry Potter. In 2002, and it is about a boy who finds a dragon egg and bonds with this dragon that hatches and progresses through the series, which is called the Inheritance Cycle, of combating a dictatorial king.
A tyrannical king. Dictator,
that
called Galvatorix.
Yeah. And it's set in a fantasy world, obviously dragons, elves. It's very similar to Lord of the Rings. He took a lot of themes from it and is compared greatly, both positively and negatively, with Harry Potter and Star Wars. That's the basis of the film. So why is it universally panned?
Where to start with this?
Start at the beginning.
I mean, the book is just an incredible story, especially for the author Christopher Paolini, who wrote it when he was 19.
Yeah.
Between 16 and 19. Because he was born in 1983 and it was published in 2002. It's an amazing book for someone so young.
Definitely.
But, I mean, the start of it is obviously, it's okay, because Eragon is in his hometown village of Carver Hall.
Yeah.
But the stuff that already messed me about was when, as soon as you're introduced to Carver Hall, the soldiers, Galbatorix soldiers, are already there. They were never there in the books. You get the Razak, which is Galbatorix's like assassins.
Yeah.
Who turn up trying to look for the egg, which is actually, it's found out later, one of Galbatorix's 3 dragon eggs that he had left, because these are the only dragon eggs left after the dragon riders were all killed off.
Dragon Riders is the name of the people who get in contact with the eggs, and the dragon inside chooses for them to be their rider. That's one main story point.
It's just this book, the film just left out so many major plot points.
So I think I'll start with characters, because I've got a list of stuff. So one of the biggest characters is Roran, who is essentially Eragon's brother. Essentially, without
it's his cousin.
Yeah, and he's in the film for a little bit, and then decides to sod off to work somewhere else.
Yeah, he says in the film that I'm leaving because I'm old enough to be recruited by the army.
Yeah,
and so I need to get out of here because I don't want to do that. Whereas
book version,
he left Carver Hall to go to the next village, which it began with a T, Ferrisford or something like that.
I think so.
To go work in a mill, because he just helped a mill owner who came to Carver Hall for something, and he said, "I'll give you a job." But he's doing that because he wants to marry a woman called Katrina.
His love interest in the books. And Katrina is the daughter of the village butcher who is
called
also
Sloane.
Who's also not in the film.
Yeah, Katrina is completely left out of the film. She's in a deleted scene.
She's in it, yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
But they didn't put it in the film, which is really annoying because it's a major plot point.
So the main bugging thing from this is, again, it's back to the book. Is that the same we said with Percy Jackson? Those characters are major points.
Yeah.
Going down the line, like Sloane, who is the butcher, he had a big impact in the second film, in the second book, I should say. And the Roran and Katrina relationship and Roran as a focus is a massive thing in the second book.
In the second, yeah.
And
the third as well, in a way.
Yeah.
For the start of it, mainly.
I'm just thinking in second, just because it was obviously near to the time, because it was made in 2002, and then the film came out in 2006.
Yeah.
So I can't remember when The Eldest, which is the second book, came out. But the focus on them, and then they just disregard it, would have made it semi-impossible to bring out a second film to focus on them when you didn't know them much to begin with. So that's the reason for the annoyance that they're being left out.
Yeah.
And I think they had enough time to at least explain. I mean, like you say, Katrina was in the film, but just deleted scenes.
In the deleted scene, so.
And similar reason for the Razak, as you say.
Yeah.
We'll go into Razak because they come up later in the film as well. But
this part with the Razak is that they are a major point of the inheritance cycle from book 1 to book 3. They in the film, they literally chase Eragon and his companion, who he leaves Carver Hall with, called Brom, who's like the village storyteller.
Yeah.
And about an hour, maybe not even that, into the film, they get attacked by the Razak, and Brom kills them. Now
relatively easily,
relatively easily, yeah. But that has massive wavelengths for what actually happens in the book, because they don't get killed until the third one,
and
and it kind of messes with the story of the book as well, because they completely leave out Brom and Eragon's travelling to Tyrim, the port city, where they meet Brom's old friend from the past called Jode. And Jode becomes more important in the second one as well, because they're trying to figure out where the Razak are from so that they can go and kill them. And they find out that because they find it's a bottle that they left behind with like burning poison in it, which they find was brought in a shipment and sent from Tyrim to a city called Drasleona, which is where their lair is. So then they travel to Drasleona to try and find them, and that's where they get attacked by the Razak. But they don't get killed by them. Well, they don't kill them, sorry.
They don't kill them.
They don't kill them there, but they get chased out, and then they get ambushed, don't they? Which is where the Razak then, spoilers, kill Brom. But in the film, Brom has already killed the Razak, and then they never go to Tyrim, they never go to Drasleona, and then they suddenly Eragon has like an image in his head of an elf that's imprisoned called Arya in a town called Gilead. So he goes off, leaving Brom behind to go and find him. Go and find her.
So we'll just stick we'll just stick with the Razak a sec, because it's not just the fact that they've changed the story with them. It's again due to outer effects, because the Razak pretty much are the main basis for Roran's storyline in the second book, and they're a main point of the start of the third book as well.
They are.
Well, they're in the entirety of Roran's story pretty much. So by them killing, and how they're seen in the book, how in the films, is basically an altered human, basically, or not human, but like pretty similar to a human. Whilst in the books they're described as fast as an elf, as strong, so it's like, and they're not, and difficult to kill. Like
very difficult to kill.
In the third film, when Eragon is basically part elf, like he's just like he's keeping
just able to do it.
Well, he's actually doing it because he goes against two of them with a staff, doesn't he? So he's actually outdoing them a bit, but they're portrayed as many times stronger than a human. So it's like,
and they just get killed, just like that in the film. It's not, but like you said, like it messes with the story of the second book, because Roran returns to Kandahar. But so we don't need to really go into it that much. But
basically half the book wouldn't happen in the second.
Well, to be honest, none of the and then a few of the other ones as well, because how would he carry on the story of Roran getting to Eragon without the Razak? So that's messed them up. Like I said, they're never to Tyrim and never meet
they get rid of a lot of Eragon and Brom's interaction, learning. Like he teaches him to write and magic, doesn't he? And
teaches him pretty much all magic, everything. Whereas he hardly does anything of that.
I will give a positive that I think. Obviously, saying Jeremy Irons is an incredible actor, but he was Brom.
He was Brom, and that was good.
He was the character. Like reading it again, since like when I've read it, since I've not read it in about 10 years now, but Brom was the character. Like Jeremy Irons was Brom. Such a good casting and such a good job of it.
As much as we didn't see him as well, if I add on, is Galbatorix.
Yeah, John Malkovich. He was another one that I could have seen as being, because I don't really like Galbatorix as a villain. I think he was very boring. Like he doesn't show up until the last 100 pages of the fourth book.
No.
And prior to that, he's just said in whispers and nothing really interesting. You just know he's this tyrannical, like you say,
tyrannical king,
and he's not brought up until the second half of the fourth book, and then he's sort of
gone.
So, but in terms of the portrayal, like even if it's just a few seconds, like John Malkovich, just I could see that.
Next part, again, it's another plot point that kind of messed with me. With it was when Eragon and co arrived at Tharvandur.
Yes.
Where is basically against the tyrannical king Galbatorix, there is an organisation called the Varden, who is the rebel group of the entire series, and they are hiding in a place called Tharvandur, which is Father Mountain in Dwarfish. So it's
for those not fluent.
Yeah, for those not fluent. And they're inside Tharvandur. Farvander is it's like a hollow mountain, and inside it is a city called Trondheim.
Yep.
Where they're presiding, and Trondheim is a dwarven city.
Yep.
Now, what major thing did they leave out of the film when they made Trondheim and Farvander?
So what major thing did they leave out from a dwarven city built by dwarves?
Ruled by dwarves,
where the dwarf king resides.
Yep. Including all of his subjects in his army.
And basically more than 50% of the Varden army, I think,
are dwarves.
Yep. What could they possibly miss?
I think you've guessed it by now. It's dwarves.
Yeah.
Dwarves. They completely missed out the dwarves. No dwarves in the Varden, just humans. None at all. I mean, I don't know how much else to say about that, really. They completely missed those out. No dwarves whatsoever. I mean, Eragon got rescued by a dwarf to get into Farvander. That didn't happen.
Well, if you want a perfect example of British sarcasm, you just need to get that sound clip right there and just keep it on.
Yeah, no wonder. So, yeah, not much to say about that. There's no dwarves.
Speaking of creatures that weren't there pretty much, it was only till I looked at clips of it that the Urgles were just tribe humans, weren't they? They weren't
pretty much
monsters as they are in the...
and then, if I remember right from the film as well, Brom, when they first see the Urgles, he goes, they used to be the king's enemy, now they're his guard. Whereas you didn't know that. In the book, you didn't know that they were actually working for Galbatorix until the actual battle of Farvander, where they capture one of the Urgles.
And the main thing that annoyed me, sorry to skip back, I'm just reading my notes, about the lack of dwarves, was Eragon's interaction with Hrothgar, the king of the dwarves, and Oric.
That's who I was trying to think of his name was that rescued him. That's Oric.
Especially Oric, because Oric basically becomes like Eragon's brother.
Yeah.
Literally becomes his half brother, and that just progresses throughout the books. And he's a really good character as well. I really enjoyed it, his character. But again, with no dwarves, there's none of that.
Nope.
Again, it's all with a pinch of salt because we know it's a film. They have restrictions. But it is when they take out a massive piece and you're just
that's unforgivable to me. You cannot leave all of that out. You could maybe put a few dwarves in there at least, but it's a dwarven city. How can there be no dwarves? So that kind of annoyed me.
They migrated.
Yeah, apparently. So migration people. Next point of it, it's the end of the film.
Yep.
After the battle, so Eragon wakes up, and obviously he in halfway through the film, he went to Gilead and actually rescued Arya, who was imprisoned, and he brings her to Farvander where she's healed and everything. But at the end of the film, after the battle, he wakes up to find out that she's leaving, and he goes and chases her, and obviously she says some rubbish to him, saying that we'll meet again.
Yes.
And I'm going back to the elves.
Miss you already?
Yeah, I'm going back to Weldenvarden, which is the forest that the elves lived in. Now, that is another major plot point because she doesn't leave.
She would literally have to turn around immediately to start the second film on the right note.
Yep, because with the second book, Eragon actually travels with Arya to Weldenvarden so that he can be taught the ways of the Dragon Rider.
Yep.
And with Arya leaving, that is just gone.
Yeah, she would literally have to spin round.
Yeah, there is no way.
I know there wasn't a second film ever made.
For reasons,
but it's the fact that we're talking about bad book to film adaptations, so we have to take it in the context of what we want from the books and what the book continuations would be in film version.
Yeah.
So it's basically saying, well, she would have to literally turn the horse around after leaving and go, oh yeah, we've got to do this next episode.
We've got to go with this now. So in all, I think Eragon wise, it too much was changed from the books.
I don't know if you can remember this. But Saphira's growth.
Oh god, yeah, that was instant.
So Saphira is the name of the dragon that's bonded with Eragon, and she grows throughout the whole series. But obviously the main growth is throughout the first book, where she transitions from a young dragon to being able to breathe fire right at the end of the film,
to being able to be ridden.
So, but within the first 15 minutes of the film, she flies over a cloud. Time skip, and she's suddenly a fully grown dragon.
Yeah. Now, in the books, it's told that dragons never stop growing.
Yeah.
And yet she's just grown just like that, whereas it took a good few... I mean, in the book time, it took weeks before of Eragon actually looking after Saphira before she could do anything, before she could speak to him, because she speaks through her mind to Eragon, for people that haven't read the books or watched it. Obviously, they got rid of that in the film, which I can understand, because that would have taken a bit too long to get through it, put it into a few days. But the growth part, again, it's a bit...
just like...
that shouldn't have happened. But, so, basically, with Eragon, it's your go-to guide for not how to adapt your book to a film. But I don't think it's Christopher Paolini's fault at all, the author, because I don't think he got much say in it. I've not read much into it.
I've not read anything into it.
Because I look at the age that he was. He was 19 when this was published, and when the film came out in 2006, he was only 23. So would he have been too scared to say anything to the film producers?
I mean, I want to go into some positives. Like I've already mentioned Brom and mentioned Galbatorix as John Malkovich. A couple of positives I did see of it was those, and I thought Rob Carlyle as Durza. I think he was a good representative of what I imagined when reading the book. I think,
for those that haven't read it, again, Durza is a shade. What's called a shade, so it's basically like a dark magician. Yeah,
pretty much sums it up. So I think that was a good. I think he did a good job of that. The special effects of it for the time were really good. Like the dragon Saphira, I think she looked really good for the time, and a special consideration towards the final fight scene when she's in armor.
Yeah,
I think that was
a part of the book. So.
Yeah, one of the best examples of a CGI dragon that I can think of in recent memories, at least. So there were some positives, and to do with, like you say, age. I don't think, although the actor who played Eragon looked like what the character would have been, although I think there was a few age difference, but anyway, the actor, that was his first professional role, and I think you could really tell it, because it was very
corny acting.
Yeah, and I think that's a real shame. Obviously, there was just changing the actor couldn't have changed anything. No. But it was never the performance that I could see going any further. Yeah, and that's not his fault, because I think he's gone on to doing really well at Downton Abbey, I believe it is, from what I looked at. But for a first performance, I think it's a real shame that was the film that did it. Again, not his fault, first professional acting performance, but yeah.
So to say with that, then, with Eragon, I mean, obviously you've got the positives of the acting, but when it comes to the story, it's not the best at all, by no means. And for what they did with the film, there was no chance of them being able to do any sequels at all. It just ruined it. And as you can tell, if you have a look at the ratings that the film got, it was absolutely rinsed by book readers, because it just messed with it too much. I would have even said that the way to get Eragon the best way would probably be a TV show, in a way. Maybe.
I think if they could do if they had the budget to do it properly, like Netflix potentially, I think that'd be a good idea. But I also think, I don't know, it's issue because there's so much in there.
That's what I'm saying, because I don't think a movie really does it much justice, because they're having to leave so much out.
It would have to be Lord of the Rings, because it's very similar to Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So you would have to have it similar length. Yeah. And then you would have people immediately saying it's Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Because people say that already. Which I don't disagree with the similarities, but it is his own thing, and you can enjoy it separately. Anything else?
I think we've covered everything, really. I think we've definitely done our bit on this one.
Yeah, so I'd read it's called The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Really good series, and it's just a really enjoyable read. Like I said, all the books we've mentioned, so all the films, you can watch them, you can enjoy them. Obviously, people will disagree with us. But all the books we've mentioned here, I think we both find them decent. Yes. Obviously, you've not read the Dark Materials, and I've not read Dan Brown stuff, but we both know that we'd probably enjoy it if we did, or when we do. So check them out. So we've got social media set up now. Now this is the third episode, so we are at Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at the What's On Podcast, and we're at Twitter at _What's On Podcast because someone nicked us to it. So yeah, check us out there. Let us know what you thought. See if there's any other bad book to film adaptions out there, and we'll check them out. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you very much. See you now.